Welcome to HB Tuner's Ford Gen 1 Coyote Training Part 9. In this training module, we're going to take a look at using our source codes to determine what type of operation mode our PCM is going to be in for various types of functionality. So if we're looking at our fuel delivery, or we're looking at our spark timing, or we're looking at our torque table control, we can figure out exactly what our PCM is doing in the flow of logic by looking up our source codes. They tell us how the ECU is moving through the various types of modes it can operate in. Our source codes are invaluable when we're doing our calibrating and tuning because, for example, if we're looking at spark timing, we need to know where it's sourcing the spark timing values from. Without knowing that information, we wouldn't be able to map out the spark timing calibration process. We're gonna have a lot to cover. Let's jump in so we can take a look at working with our source codes. Okay, so let's get started. We're gonna be taking a look at working with our source codes within our Ford ECU programming logic. Now the source codes are going to be essentially giving us an internal mapping to what's going on inside of the Ford ECU logic. So as the engine is running and as the ECU is controlling the engine, if we're looking at something like spark timing or our fuel delivery, it's essentially going to tell us where it's sourcing the fuel delivery from or where it's sourcing the spark timing from. Without understanding and knowing our source codes, we have no idea what's going on within the ECU control. Now we know we have a lot of tables in the ECU to deal with. So for example here, let's just pop into our engine tab. If we're taking a look under, let's say, spark timing, for example, we have all of these different spark timing tables that it could be sourcing its spark timing from. So for example, it could be going into emissions reduction or borderline tables or maximum brake torque tables or pre-ignition tables or cylinder pressure limit or a lot of other tables here, tip-in transient, so it could be sourcing its spark timing from a variety of different sources. Without logging our source code for, let's say, spark timing, we wouldn't be able to tell which tables it's riding in and being able to determine what we need to edit and change. So let's dig in here. Let's just understand the source codes that we have available. We're going to go take a look at a master list and then also take a look at some data logs so we can just take a look where we can find and spot where our sources are coming from. Now the logging lists that I provide in our VCM scanner that you're going to be working with have a lot of the source codes associated to the particular tuning task, whether it's idle control, wide open throttle tuning, part throttle, closed loop style tuning, or torque based tuning. I'm going to have a channels list that's specific for that task that'll have all of the associated source codes that you'll need in order to make sure you know exactly what's going on. But let's take a look here. I'm going to jump into my Excel spreadsheet that I'm providing in the training course. We can find that right here. You can find that in your course folder. If I minimize this real quick here, we're going to find that in our HB Tuners Gen 1 Coyote folder. We see it's the HB Tuners 2011 to 2014 Excel file. So that's what I have open right here. Now we have a specific page labeled source codes. This is going to be about 90% of the source codes that you'll find in the programming logic for Ford PCMs across a multitude of different generations. So some of what you'll find here for source codes wouldn't be applicable to the Gen 1 Coyote. For example, here, if we're taking a look at our torque source and we're looking down our list here, we find one that's going to be HEV. That's for electronic vehicles. This is a newer torque source that could be referenced on in a newer Ford PCM programming. Now, it's not in the Gen 1 Coyote, so you're not going to find that it's called on. But what we'll find here is these are the majority of our sources that we would potentially be able to log and take a look at. So let's just run through our list here, just understanding what these mean. What does it actually mean? What is it referencing? So taking a look at our torque source, for example, it's going to have a number here, 0 in this case to 27. The number is what Ford would normally show in a, let's say, a Ford scan tool. It would show you what the source would be in terms of a number, and then you would have to look up what that particular source was related to. So for example, a torque source 0 would be related to driver demand mode in the torque type of control. So it's saying that we're in our closed loop style throttle control in the drive-by-wire operation. We can see here there's trans torque truncation. This would be for automatic transmission shifting. You might find that it has some type of torque limitation going on, so we don't damage an automatic transmission, for example. So it can tell you what is going on during a given event wherever the engine's operating at or the transmission's operating at. It's going to tell you what's going on so you have an idea that if it's doing something odd, let's say it's hitting some kind of a rev limiter or it's hesitating and it's not running properly, well, you're going to check your sources that are related to something like fuel, spark, torque, for example, here, and determine if there's any sources changing during that period of time where it might have some kind of drivability problem or some kind of an issue going on, and that can give you indication if it's sourcing a different amount of control. Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here, and you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.